everybody, how's it going? My name is Melissa, and this is my channel Geeky Witch about all things cross stitch in my life. And today I am going to show you how I set up a rotation for cross stitch. Normally I do this by hand on a piece of paper and in a notebook, but because of my move, I'm keeping everything on my computer so that I don't lose anything. So this isn't set up exactly how I would normally do it, but it's going to work for the sake of what we're doing today. So before I start, let me explain what a rotation is for those who aren't familiar with them. Basically, when you set up a rotation, you're going to pick anywhere from, say, 3 to 10, however many, honestly, pieces you feel comfortable considering as active pieces at one time. And anything else that you have that has stitches in it are going to be put aside for a little bit to take a break while you focus on this specific group of projects. And you are going to stitch on every single one of these projects before you can redo your rotation and you can do anything else. So what you do during a rotation is you pick a goal, and it's going to be a goal that is going to be consistent for all of your pieces in that rotation. So you can do it by stitches if you want. So you could say, I'm going to do, I don't know, just for sake of something easy, 1,000 stitches on every single one of these pieces. And then I'm going to move to the next piece. Or you could do, I'm going to do 10 hours of work on each piece, and then I'm going to move to the next piece. And you're going to go through every single piece in your rotation and do that goal. Okay. And once you've done every single piece, you've completed a rotation, and then you can restart it. You can either continue on a second rotation with that exact same set of pieces, or you can swap something out if something was annoying you, or you need to do some serious frogging on it, but you just don't want to deal with that right now. So you can take it out and you can replace something in. Or let's say during that rotation you actually finish something. So obviously you can pull another piece in, whether you reward yourself with a new start or you're going to do one of your other whips, whatever you want to do. So a rotation is very flexible, and it's something that you can design however you want to make sense for you. Um, so what I have traditionally done with mine is I have set them at 8 different pieces, and I always keep one rotation slot for back stitching. And the reason I personally do that is because I've always been a Teresa Wensler stitcher. And if you're stitching Teresa Wensler patterns, it's almost guaranteed you have some back stitching to do. So that means that I've got one spot in my rotation where I'm going to focus on back stitching. You can theme each rotation slot however you want. You could have one for smalls. You could have one for a specific designer. You could have one that, is just fill-in work if it's just like a whole section that's all one color. It is completely up to you how you set up a rotation. There is no right, there is no wrong. Okay? It's whatever makes sense for you to keep you energized to stitch and just, feel like you're making progress on your pieces. The nice thing about a rotation is that you set that goal and then you put it down. So even if it's a piece that you struggle with, that it's like, I really want to get this done, but I'm struggling stitching with this, you only have to do what your rotation goal is for that time, and then you can put it away and you can feel good. You've got your rotation goal done. You can move on to something else. Or you could do it, where you're like, okay, this is my minimum amount of what I'm going to do on it, but I'm going to continue stitching on this piece until I get tired of it, And then I can put it down guilt-free. However, you're like, I really need to get this stitching done on this piece. You have. You're getting progress on your pieces. And not only that, you're getting progress on all of these pieces that you picked. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. But I'm going to show you how I do this. So this is in Notion, and I've put together a list of everything that is currently in my stitching bag that I showed you at the very beginning of August. And this includes all of the projects that I am working on this week. So the two that I have labeled here as active whips are the two that I showed you yesterday that I have goals for this week. The passive whips are the ones that have stitches in them, but they're just in my project bag right now. So I'm not actively working on them at the moment. Okay. And then the rest of these are ones that for whatever reason are also in the project bag, but they've never been started. So in this case, I have Frogworks years 1, 2, and 3 in here because I haven't put any stitches in them, but they're actually technically part of the same piece as all these Frogworks years here. I just haven't started those bands yet. So, and I've treated each one of these as its own start. Okay. Then I've got some other ones. I've got the other two birth samplers here for my cousins. I picked out a couple of patriotic pieces that I was going to start in February for the 250th anniversary of the country, and then just never really did it. Springfields was a piece that I was doing for the journal class that happened at Midsummer Stitch, but I haven't started it yet. It's just sitting there ready to go. And Happy Campers was a piece that I picked up. Oh, and Fancy were pieces I picked up to fill prompts for Frogworks Year 7, but I never wound up using them. I just stitched on Year 7 the entire retreat. So there's a lot currently in my stitching bag. And yes, I have these things kitted, but honestly, I'm probably not going to go to these unless something else up here gets finished. Okay. So we're going to set up my rotation here, the rotation number 1. And my goal for each rotation slot here, just to do a trial for my rotation, is I'm going to do 5 hours of stitching. And that's it. So each slot in my rotation, I do 5 hours of stitching on it. And then I can continue stitching on it if I want to, because I'm in like a good rhythm with it. Or if it's one that I'm just not feeling it, I have completed my goal. I can put it down guilt-free. I can go to the next piece. So I am going to do let's see. So we've got, how many whips do I have? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So for this first rotation, I am going to do a 5 slot rotation. And okay. In my traditional way, I am going to keep slot 5 as back stitching. All right. I don't have a Teresa Wentzler going right now, but Mute But Not Silent has a whole lot of back stitching on it. So that piece is going to go into that slot. Now, normally, if I did have a Teresa Wentzler that was active right now, that would pretty much be sitting there in the back stitching slot. And yes, it would be to focus on back stitching. Mute But Not Silent is a heavy mix of different stitches. So honestly, I could probably just, I'm going to leave it labeled as back stitching, but it really is specialty stitching, okay, for this piece. So we've got that one in there, and I'm going to change mute but not silent to active rotation here. Okay, and then it changes status down here. Fruits of Plenty, I'm going to, since I'm actively working on that one right now, that's going to be slot 1. And actually, come to think of it, we're going to switch this up here, put that there, because I had goals for that for this week. So then we'll move into that one. All right, slot 3. What should I work on for slot 3 this week? Let's see. I think I'm going to do Bird and Berry Box because that's a small, and I actually could possibly get a finish on that this year. So we're going to do Bird and Berry Box here. Okay, so I have 3. I need 2 more. I'm going to do Elephant Baby because I really should get these done, considering that one of the babies that these are for is now 3 years old. Yeah, so I should do that. Fancy is not a passive whip. That is a kid. You don't go there. There we go. Okay, and I should probably do one of my Frogwarts years so I can start finishing these up. I'm going to do year 7 since that's the most recent that I was working on, so my brain is going to be in the best state to be working on that one. Or it's year 7. Okay, so basically, now that I have my rotation, I'm going to start with piece number 1, Fruits of Plenty. And as I'm stitching, I'm just going to run a timer. I'm not going to count. Since I'm doing hours of stitching, I am not going to worry about how many stitches I'm doing. I'm not going to worry about how much progress I make on the piece. I'm literally just going to worry about the amount of time that I'm stitching on it. Okay? So once I get to, so let's say I've done my 5 hours of stitching on Fruit of Plenty. Okay? Then all I'm going to do here is mark it as done. All right? And down, and I don't even have to move it here. It can stay on the active rotation right now. I'll probably add a note over here that says completed rotation 1 and any notes that I need for next time, if I have like miscounts or that kind of a thing. Okay. So once I finish that slot, then I'm going to go to number 2 and I'm going to do 5 hours on mute but not silent. Now, mute but not silent, I have been struggling on to get a good rhythm. It's one of those pieces that I think it's so finicky and so complicated that I just never have quite found. I love the piece, but I've never quite found my rhythm on it. So chances are, as soon as I'm done with 5 hours, I'm going to be like, yep, I'm done, moving on. So, all right, I get 5 hours done. Great. Okay. Move to Bird and Berry Box. We're going to do 5 hours here. And 5 hours on Bird and Berry Box, I probably will get part of it actually done. I should probably get the top of the box done, and I think that would leave me with 2 more sections of it to do. But all right, so we're going to finish my 5 hours here. Done. Move to Elephant Baby. Repeat again. Okay, and I get my 5 hours done. Great. Elephant Baby, I'll be like, you know what? No, I need to put a little more time in this one. I'm going to just stitch for a little while longer until I'm kind of tired of it. So let's say I do 10 hours and I'm like, all right, I need a break from this. I can move it on. I'm like, you know what? Great. I did my 5 hours. I put in a little extra time. Awesome. Congratulations. I feel good. I can move on to Frogwarts Year 7. Frogwarts Year 7 with 5 hours, I actually could finish this. Or I'd be darn close. So, for the sake of just examples, let's say with this first rotation, I do finish it. So we'll mark this as finish. Yay, hooray. Okay. So then what happens here, my entire rotation is done. So Frogwarts Year 7 at that point would be a finish. It comes off the list. Oops, but I'll have to go find it because I have this set so that I don't see finishes at the moment. Hang on. Let me settings, property. Let's see. Where's my status thing? Status. Actually, well, all right. I'll fix that later. In any case, let's say Frogwarts Year 7. It's a finish. So great. So that came off my list. Okay. So now I'm going to be starting my next rotation. I'll be starting rotation number 2. I have decided, you know what, this rotation worked pretty well for me. So Fruits Plenty, I'm just going to leave that there. Mute but Not Silent, I'm going to leave that there. Bird and Berry Box, I'm going to leave that there. Elephant Baby, I'm going to leave that there. But hey, I finished Frogwarts, so I got to do something new in slot 5. So, just for the heck of it, let's keep going on Frogwarts this time. So let's put Frogwarts Year 6, and we'll just start finishing off all of these pieces that I have in progress. So that's how a rotation works. And, and then so the next one, maybe I've decided, you know what, 5 hours wasn't enough. I'm going to move it to 10, which, if I recall, is what I used to do as my standard anyway, was about 10 hours of stitching per piece. So rotation number 2, okay, we're going to do 10 hours, and we just keep going and doing the same thing. And as you can, at the end of your rotation, you're like, you know what, I need a break from this piece. So I'm going to replace this one and put Coming to America here. Okay? And that's how it would work. And you just keep repeating it. And between each rotation, you just go, what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and you alter it however you want. If you want to say, you know what, the hours thing isn't working for me, maybe I'm going to do the counting stitches and I'm going to go that route. Or maybe this rotation, I'm going to set, like a section goal or something, or I'm going to set, I have to finish this motif. I personally wouldn't do that because my problem is when I set those kind of goals, I tend to go a little unrealistic for myself. So I think, but if you're someone who's a faster stitcher, you probably could do something like that where you pick a specific goal for each one of these pieces. It is totally up to you. I like something consistent like hours or stitches. For this first one, though, I am just going to do that, and I'm going to put Bird and Berry Box back here. Okay, so this is going to be my rotation for this time around. Now, once I'm back, once we're in our new house and I have all of my pieces, then the rotations might get a little funky because I have a whole ton of whips and they are not all entered here. Obviously, this is just the bag. And I have been debating moving everything over to Notion to keep everything in one spot. But most of the time, I honestly just keep things in a notebook, in like your regular spiral school notebook. Nothing fancy. So whatever works for you is the right way to go. And that's kind of how a rotation works. If you're setting one up and you're stuck and you're not quite sure what to do, feel free to drop me a line. I am happy to get together with you, um, especially if it's like during one of my Stitch With Me's. If you want to chat through your rotation and what you're thinking, I'm very, very happy to help you. Or, of course, on Sundays when we're doing the live stream and, you know, uh, there's 3 hours there. We can sit and talk. Or if you want to get together and just do a Zoom sometime, let me know. I am happy to get together with you. And if you want to try a rotation and you're just not quite sure how to set it up or what you want to do, um, yeah, happy to help you. You also, if you're someone who's a multi-craft person, like you like to knit, you like to crochet, you like to cross stitch, you could have a slot here for every single one of your crafts if you wanted to. And that way you got a little bit done on every single one. In theory, you could do a rotation for reading if you really wanted to and set, for a certain amount of time for reading. You could do a rotation for anything. And this thing could be as long as you want, but I really would recommend, especially when you're just starting a rotation, I would keep it fairly short like this. Um, just it helps you feel like you're making more progress and that the rotation is working for you. And also, if you have it short like this, you can fine tune the rotation itself and figure out what your sweet spot of your goal before to feel satisfied on that piece and go, you know what? I see I'm making progress. I can comfortably and guilt free move on to the next piece until I see this one again. So, some people will do a rotation for a month. So, they'll do 4 slots, one for each week, and then kind of just have a few free days just to kind of take a break or whatnot or work on whatever they want. Um, I have seen people who made a rotation of every single whip that they have, and they have to work on each whip before they can go back around again. With how that is for me, I wouldn't see projects for probably 2, 3 years if I did it that way. But you know what? You do you. This is how rotations work. So I hope this kind of helps and maybe inspires you to give this type of stitching a try. And again, like I said, if you have questions or you want me to help you, just, with some ideas for a rotation with what you have, drop me a line and lay it in a chat while I'm on live and go, okay, I have these pieces and I'm someone who doesn't like to count stitches, or I am someone who likes to count stitches. What would you recommend? And I'll work with you to try to figure out a nice rhythm and also maybe a good mix of your whips if you're someone who has a ridiculous amount like I do. Alrighty? Well, that's it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you live tomorrow night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time for about an hour of Stitch With Me. Until then, have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care, all.